Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 playing a bit of Team Deathmatch here on the map Metro, running around with the ICR-1 assault rifle, and this game is ridiculously close. So this is actually recorded just after Christmas, so it's a bunch of Christmas noobs on my team, Christmas noobs on the other team. It's Team Deathmatch, right? That's where you go if you want to run to a lot of Christmas noobs, and that's where I went, and this match is ridiculously close as a result, guys. I mean, the people on my team weren't great, people on the other team weren't great, I didn't do it particularly amazing, and just overall, it became one of those super competitive games of Team Deathmatch that I typically don't see. Usually when I play TDM, it's like a super ruffle stomp for one side. You know, one team always wins like 75 to 40 or 75 to 30 or 20 or even worse. And so usually Team Deathmatches are not very close when I play them, but this one was ridiculously close, and I hope you guys will sit back and relax and enjoy the gameplay while we go over the questions for this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where your subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions, and I do a go and answer them. We have a number of good questions this week, so I'm going to hop right in here with the first one. He is going to write, Dear Nero, what is your least favorite Call of Duty and why? Any responses? Awesome. Thanks, Harry from Massachusetts. And we are just going to open up a whole can of worms here with the very first question. This is obviously going to be a controversial one, and whatever I pick, regardless, if I pick Call of Duty 3, there's going to be some COD 3 fanatics out there that are going to be like, what? Call of Duty 3 was amazing, a lot better than this modern crap, and like, just everybody has their own favorites, right? But this is going to be my personal opinion, what Call of Duty was my least favorite and why. I would say, of all the Call of Duties I've played a lot of, right? I'm not going to count COD 1, COD 2, COD 3. I didn't play a lot of those. But COD 4 and onward, of all of those, my least favorite Call of Duty would probably be... Dun, 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 dun. Call of Duty Ghosts. Call of Duty Ghosts was my least favorite Call of Duty, and I'll go into detail why without trying to spend the entire video talking about this one topic. So, number one, the removal of UAV. I don't know whose idea that was. They wanted to involve like a more involved playstyle, I suppose, where your team all in unison had to place down these SATCOMs to give you the equivalent of a UAV, but obviously it doesn't work like that. If you get a SATCOM, you're going to call it down immediately unless you're playing a full party where you try and synchronize these things. And even if you do have enough SATCOMs put down on your team, the other team can just hide from it with a perk, or they're going to be using silencers and stuff like that anyway. So it just the radar didn't exist in that game, which I didn't like. If you notice here in Black Ops 3, UAV, counter UAV, and hater is the kill streaks I run a lot of the time. And it's because I like being able to know where the opposing team is. I don't like them knowing where we are. It's just radar is a big way of how I play Call of Duty, and it wasn't a big factor in Call of Duty Ghosts, so I didn't like that aspect of it very much. The color palette. I didn't like the color palette that they chose for the game. Lots of greens, lots of grays, lots of browns. Ugh, just gross looking, man. I promise there's colors out there. Like, you look at the Treyarch games, which are nice, bright, vibrant, and beautiful. Then you look at the Infinity Ward games, both old and new Infinity Ward. They're just all green and gray and just blah. Like, it just, that's the theme they want for their series, which, okay, that's your artistic decision, but for me it's like, I don't like looking at that. The weapons in the game were actually pretty cool. I liked a lot of the weapons that we had in COD Ghosts. The problem with it was they were all so powerful that you just felt like you could get melted across the map by just about anything, and therefore you didn't feel as though you were safe anywhere. You didn't feel like anywhere you went was safe. One, because you never had any radar or any indication of where the opposing team was, unless they were to shoot on the minimap. But pretty soon people realized that shooting a non-silenced gun makes them show up on the minimap, and since the game has no UAVs, if you shoot and show up on the minimap, you're gonna get swarmed because you're the only thing that's showing up on the minimap, therefore everybody notices you. So quickly everybody started using a silencer, and you're just like getting melted across the map by these weapons that are silenced, and you just have never any idea of where people were. It just, I didn't enjoy the game that much. My friends all stopped playing it pretty much immediately. We played it a bit when the game first came out. My friends and everyone did. They all stopped playing almost immediately, and so I had to play the majority of that game solo because all the people that typically play Call of Duty with decided it was a terrible game. They didn't want to play it, and just overall I had probably the worst experience of my COD career, if you want to call it that, during the year the Call of Duty Ghosts was out. Now, in my head, I have this game at, like, villainized as like a terrible game, like the worst game ever, you know, and I want to go back to it to see if all these things in my head, like all these opinions I still have of the game, I want to see if they still reign true, because, you know, typically people go back and they play some of the older Call of Duties and stuff. I never did that for Ghosts. Like, I really just did not enjoy my time with the game very much. After the first few months, I was pretty much over that game and just didn't really enjoy playing it that much, and that definitely reflected on my channel. I didn't make a ton of videos that year. I want to go back and play it. I want to go back and see if it was really as bad as it is in my head. But yeah, if you don't know, like my least favorite Call of Duty probably be Call of Duty Ghosts. But again, I haven't played the game in so long that I kind of want to go back and see, is it really as bad as I have it in my head, or if I just worked it up as like this evil monster in my mind, and maybe it wasn't really as bad as what I remember it to be. I don't know. But yeah, if I had to pick between COD 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Call of Duty Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, and Black Ops 3, gosh, that's a lot of games. My least favorite would probably be Call of Duty Ghosts. Just of all the years, that was the year I had the least fun with Call of Duty. Let me know in the comments what game, if you had to pick, would be your least favorite Call of Duty of all of them. I'll definitely be interested to hear about that. Next question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, you say you've been playing Fallout 4. What do you think of Diamond City Radio? Love your videos and keep up the great work. Austin from Georgia, USA. Austin, I freaking love Diamond City Radio, although I will say the songs do get a bit repetitive after a while because I spend a lot of time in Fallout 4 working on my shelter, my area, I suppose, in Sanctuary. Like, basically the area I spent the most time in was Sanctuary in terms of trying to build up my little base, and as a result, I have these radios like set up like all throughout Sanctuary, so wherever it is I'm working on, I can hear the radio in game. Like, there's just something weird. I don't like playing the radio on your Pip-Boy. It seems odd. I'd rather have it come from a source and like you can kind of hear it that it's a little bit away and stuff. It's more immersive that way. And I typically have Diamond City Radio on, and I love the music in Fallout. Like, if there's one thing about Fallout which always made me kind of interested in it, was like the kind of like retro old school theme that the game has, while at the same time kind of being futuristic. And all the music in the game is like straight out like the 1920s or something like that. Like these are all just like great songs, and there's something about like the sound of radio static and that stuff that you hear in Fallout. Like, I love the sounds of Fallout. Like, editing it all sounds in Fallout, they all sound amazing to me. A lot of people wanted to give and did give Star Wars Battlefront like the best sounds of any game, and I think that's because they actually take direct sounds from the movies themselves, which is a kind of a neat idea. So obviously that game did sound and look amazing. A lot of people didn't like the gameplay, but Star Wars Battlefront visually and just with audio was amazing. I think Fallout 4 at the same time could be right up there. In my opinion, I love all the sounds in Fallout 4. It's freaking awesome if you ask me. So yeah, I love Diamond City Radio. I love all the songs in that game, to be perfectly honest. I just wish there were more of them, because someone like me who spends a lot of their time in Sanctuary Hills just building up my base for really no reason, it seems like. I've never actually been attacked like in my base ever, but I keep building it up. I keep trying out different things and working with the power and whatnot. I think it's really fun. It's like a little sandbox like build stuff game inside an RPG, which is awesome. And yeah, I love the sounds of it, but just over time it kind of gets repetitive hearing the same songs over and over. Next question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, with Black Ops 3 making a change to C4 and not allowing players to airburst it anymore, the amount of players using C4 seems to have decreased. Do you think Black Ops 3 made the correct change in nerfing C4, and do you think it will return in future Call of Duty games? Michael from the Music City, who is by far like the most popular person on this series, I suppose. He sends in great questions every single week, and today we're going to be talking a bit about C4. So, the nerf to C4, I think, was needed. Running C4, if you guys remember the C4 in Black Ops 2, which it wasn't that long ago that a lot of us were just playing Black Ops 2 exclusively, the C4 in that game was ridiculous. It really was. Even with Flak Jacket, I mean, you would live from Flak Jacket if they were to hit you with it, but if you were already hurt, even then, it would just blow you apart. Like, people were using C4 like crazy. If you're a fan of YouTube, which obviously a lot of you guys are by watching this video or listening to the audio-only version, you're obviously a big fan of Call of Duty, and just all the people that would get like these 100+ games, myself included, I had a lot of great gameplays from Black Ops 2, lots of high scores, and a lot of the time, we were running C4. You're playing ground war domination, you run up to a flag that the opposing team's trying to take, bam, you throw up your little C4 sandwich, and then boom, you're getting a quad feed. Like, I was making C4 only montages, even back in Modern Warfare 3. Like, just C4 has been amazing during Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, and I guess they tried to nerf that because it's like, this is like basically a close quarters frag grenade that will just wipe out an entire room if they're not using Flak Jacket. We should probably change that. The change they made here in Black Ops 3 is actually a pretty good one in my opinion. So basically, when you throw it, it has to actually take a second to arm itself, similar to if they're using like the Hive specialist ability. You shoot your Hives out, they don't just automatically explode as if they were a grenade launcher. They have to land on the ground and they have to take a second to actually activate, which is a feature you see in a lot of video games with explosives. And now they're making it so not everything is just like a danger close grenade launcher. It explodes on impact. They're making it so it lands, sticks to a surface, and then it has to kind of like take a second to arm itself. The same thing happens with the C4, which I think is actually pretty good. As a result, I don't use the C4 a lot in this game. I've used it a bit when it's on default class. I forget which default class it is, But when you throw it, like let's say you just want to throw, they're taking B, you throw your C4 on B, you have to throw it and it has to land there, then it takes a second to actually arm, and then you can explode it, and it will get a kill or two, but it's not instant, and therefore it's not going to save the flag as much. It was actually a pretty good nerf without making them completely useless, which is pretty good. That's why a lot of game developers struggle with when nerfing stuff in their game. They typically just try to nerf something with just a giant hammer rather than a nice little finesse tool or anything like that. They basically go in there and just completely demolish whatever it is they're trying to nerf. Whereas in Black Ops 3, the C4 is still viable. It's not an instant death thing like it was back in Black Ops 2, which is actually pretty good. Will we see C4 in future Call of Duty games? Probably. Call of Duty is not known for removing aspects of the game very much. They remove sabotage, the game mode. Occasionally they'll remove game modes and stuff like that. But in terms of like equipment, like stuff that may feel core to the experience of Call of Duty, they typically don't remove that stuff. You know, you're always gonna have your assault rifles, your submachine guns. They actually did remove riot shields, I suppose, so I guess it is possible that they could remove C4 in the future, but I imagine they're gonna have it because they want to have variety with their lethal grenades, and the C4 is just kind of one of them. So I think they're gonna have it in future Call of Duty games. I fully expect to see it in the next game, whatever Infinity Ward's cooking up right now. I just think that it's probably not going to exist in the same way that it existed back in Modern Warfare 3 or the way it existed back in Black Ops 2. And if it did, there might be some public outcry for that. Next question. He's going to write, Dear Nero, I watched your playthrough of the Giant Zombies map here in Black Ops 3, which I really enjoyed. And I was wondering if you have played the brand new Shadows of Evil, and if you have, what are your thoughts on the map? Personally, I dislike it due to how overly complicated it is just to get Pack-a-Punch going and having to fight a Margwa every 5 seconds, it feels like. Huge fan of the channel, and I hope you answer my question. Have a great day. Chet Danger from North Carolina. So Chet, every week I tell myself, like, you know, this is going to be the week. This is going to be the week that I go and I play Shadows of Evil and I learn it. But there's just so much to learn about it, which is not a bad thing. There's not a bad thing that it requires so much to do, because it definitely gives you like this barrier to entry for Shadows of Evil, which I think is good for Zombies fans. Like, Zombies is not a super casual, like super laid back thing anymore. At least it isn't right now in Black Ops 3, which is, in my opinion, a good thing. There's a lot of people out there that like to play Zombies and they only play Zombies. There's people that are like super prestiged in Zombies already. They've already prestiged several times in Zombies because they play it all the time. They like it a lot more than what they like the multiplayer. You know, for me, when I play Call of Duty, like 95% of my time is the multiplayer. You know, 4.5% would be Zombies, and then maybe like, I don't know, like a small percentage would be me actually completing the campaign and the overall grand scheme of things. You know, I don't play a ton of Zombies. I primarily focus on the multiplayer. There's people that are the complete opposite of that, where they play primarily Zombies and they play a little bit of the multiplayer and a little bit of the campaign, right? You know, a lot of people like to play the Treyarch games for Zombies, and what they've done with Shadows of Evil is they made it so people that exclusively like to play Zombies, they've given them a ridiculous amount of stuff to do, and they made it ridiculously complicated as compared to like Town from Black Ops 2, and they made it so these people actually have something that they can work for, something that every single time they play, it's going to be a bit different. There's a lot to set up, there's a lot to know, there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to understand, and as a result, I think people are really enjoying Shadows of Evil. Of course, we have Dryzen Drock coming with the first DLC pack, which is going to be pretty cool. Apparently, it's going to be kind of like the same idea as Shadows of Evil. It looks to be like it's going to be pretty big, pretty complicated. It looks like it's going to be a fun map, and I think that's good that there's a lot to do in the map, and it's actually kind of complicated, because people that are big fans of Zombies, you know, how quickly do you get bored of playing on Town in Black Ops 2? You're probably pretty quickly, you know. There's definitely a fine line that you have to draw with Zombies. You don't want it to be overly complicated, like so complicated that nobody wants to play it, which is almost where Shadows of Evil is, in my opinion. Like, there's just a lot going on to it. Like, I try playing with my friends, and they have an idea, they have an understanding of, like, what's going on that map. And they're like, okay, so now we gotta go, we gotta open up this room. All right, so now we're going into hell, so we have to do this sacrifice here. All right, so there's gonna be a bunch of these little fire witches that come out, so just keep running around in circles because they can't hit you, and we just have to, like, survive it, and then we take this thing that they give us afterwards, and then I don't even know what's happening. Like, I'm so confused when we play. It's like, can we just go back to multiplayer? I understand the multiplayer. I just want to go pew pew and kill stuff. You know, just this is tough. So maybe it's a little bit too hard trying to understand Shadows of Evil. But I guarantee, if I were to sit down and watch a video, Wildcat has a video of it. I guarantee if I watch a 10-minute video, you know, 20-minute video or something like that, which I do all the time anyway. I just don't watch that particular video. If I were to just watch one of those Zombies videos somebody to say, hey, this is how you play Shadows of Evil. This is why we're doing this stuff. This is, how the map works. Then I would have a full understanding. I think I would enjoy the map a lot. And that's really the only thing stopping me from enjoying Shadows of Evil. So you don't want the map to be too simple. You don't want it to be too complicated. It's all about trying to find a nice in-between there. And I think Shadows of Evil could actually be a nice in-between, but apparently getting Pack-a-Punch is kind of complicated, which I never liked it when they did that. Like when you played on Transit, and apparently Shadows of Evil is harder than Transit. What was the entire system? Some of you guys remember this clearly. I didn't play a ton. I played like 10 days worth of Black Ops 2 Zombies, but even then, like I didn't play all that on Transit. How did it work on that map? Like you basically had to build that thing, that fan thing, right? Then you had to like point the fan like at this thing like in the bank or something like that. No, the Pack-a-Punch was underneath the bank in town. So you had to take, I forget what you had to do, but you had to run like all around the map and whatnot just to get Pack-a-Punch going. It was super complicated. And yeah, I don't like when that happens. Like if I want a Pack-a-Punch gun, I want to Pack-a-Punch it now. I want it sitting in a nice spot right there. I just want to go over there and Pack-a-Punch my weapon if I need to Pack-a-Punch it. But Pack-a-Punch, obviously, it's like Pack-a-Punch 2.0 almost here in Black Ops 3 because they give you two versions of the Pack-a-Punch. You can Pack-a-Punch it to get your upgraded weapon. Then you can Pack-a-Punch it again and get a special benefit to that weapon, which is very awesome. My favorite one's Firework, I think, just because it lets off a firework. I think it's nice that they added in that stuff. It's nice that they made it more complicated, but just I don't like having Pack-a-Punch being so hard to get to, but with how powerful Pack-a-Punch is in this game, it kind of has to be hard to get to. It just... man, it's a real catch-22, I suppose. Like, part of it, you want it to be easier, but at the same time, you don't want it to be easier. So, I don't know. I just want to get into Shadows of Evil. Every week, I tell myself, I want to go play Shadows of Evil. I want to learn that map, but just every week, I'm just like, nah, I'll do it next week. I'm just going to play the multiplayer, I need to get to it. But yeah, a lot of people say Shadows of Evil is great. I believe them when they say that, and I want to try it out for myself. I just want to get a party of my friends together so they can help me learn this thing and experience it that way. So I don't think trying to learn Shadows of Evil is going to be any fun doing it solo, and I don't think it's going to be any fun doing it with random people online. I want to get my friends to play it, and they already know the map kind of well, so it's just a matter of getting all the schedules together and trying to play it. But I'm definitely going to try and do that this week. Next and final question, he is going to write, Dear Nero, lately I have been losing my drive and desire to play video games like Black Ops 3, Halo, and etc. I don't want to give up gaming, so I was wondering if you have any advice. Any answer is appreciated, and I love your vids. Roberto from Penn State. So Roberto, I've actually, believe it or not, I get this kind of a question pretty frequently for Dear Nero. Now, I don't always answer it because I've answered it before, but the answer is pretty simple, to be perfectly honest. The solution's right there in front of you. Either take a break or try out different things. Like, you listed two games as an example, Halo and Black Ops 3. I noticed a similarity between the two of them. They're both first-person shooters. You're playing a lot of FPS games. Now, you can switch between FPS games to try and make it feel different. Like, okay, so today I'm playing Halo, today I'm playing Black Ops 3, today I'm playing Battlefront, today I'm playing this, that, and the other. But ultimately, you're using a weapon, in first person even, you're going pew, 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 but you're doing it on different maps with different objectives, with different stuff going on. Like, obviously the games are very different, but at the end of the day, you're still playing the same genre. One thing you could do, and this is something that I've done, because as somebody that's played, people always ask me, like, Nero, how do you still like Call of Duty? How do you still play Call of Duty? Because you've been playing it since, I mentioned all the time, but I've been playing since 2007. My first COD was COD 4. My first experience with Call of Duty was Call of Duty 3, playing, taking turns at my cousin's house. But when Call of Duty 4 came out, that's the year I got my Xbox 360 back in 2007, and that's when I got COD 4, and I've been a lifelong fan since. I've been playing COD 4, World of War. I've played every game, and I played them extensively. People wonder, like, how can you still enjoy Call of Duty? It's the same game every year. How you still enjoy playing that? And the reason is I like Call of Duty. I like first-person shooters. I like the system of COD more than any other first-person shooter that I've played. I like the fact that the maps are relatively small. I like the fact that there's really no big vehicles you have to really worry about like Battlefield. Although occasionally I like to go to like Battlefield 4 and run around in vehicles, big 32-on-32 fights and stuff, But I like Call of Duty because it's fast-paced, the matches are short, the maps are relatively small, you can get some kill streaks, you can get lots of kills. I like the way that you move, everything's smooth and stuff. I like Call of Duty, and the reason why, after all these years, I still enjoy Call of Duty is because I don't only play Call of Duty. For the first couple of years, that's all I did play. COD 4, World of War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, these were the years where I basically only played Call of Duty. I would occasionally play other stuff like Madden, stuff like that, which I play a lot of Madden still to this day. But primarily, I would play only Call of Duty. But over the past couple of years or so, I've kind of have started getting into other genres, and as a result, playing these other genres kind of like refreshes the palette, I suppose. It makes it so playing Call of Duty isn't as monotonous as it could be if I were to only play that one game genre. If I were to only play first-person shooters, it could get boring pretty quickly. So start experimenting with some other stuff. Try playing some survival games, try platformer games, try puzzle games, try MOBA games, MMO games, online stuff. RPG games would be a good example. Fallout 4 just came out, and although it technically is a first-person shooter, it's not like Call of Duty in any respect. The only similarity is you're shooting stuff from the first person. But even then, you don't have to shoot people. You can melee all the time if you want to. Just try to cleanse your palate a bit. Try other stuff. I have a feeling a lot of people that follow my channel are in like the same boat that I was several years ago, where Call of Duty is the only game that they play. And while Call of Duty is great, and again, I still enjoy playing it to this day, it's not the only game that I like to play, and I like to play a wide variety of games. Even though Black Ops 3 is just come out, I'll sometimes go 2 or 3 days without playing it, and then I'll go back and I'll binge play for like 6 hours or something like that if my friends are on, and just play a variety of games. Don't just exclusively play one game or even one genre of games, and as a result, you'll probably find that you enjoy gaming still as much as you did when you first started, and that there's probably a lot of genres out there that you probably didn't even realize you liked. Like, I had no idea I liked MOBA games. I had no idea I liked MMO games. I didn't think I would like survival games. Turns out survival games are freaking awesome, and every time I play an RPG game, I try to play as if it were a survival game. Like, when I play Fallout 4, I try so hard not to die all the time, and I'm like sitting there cooking food, hunting animals and stuff like that. Like, doing all this stuff, it's like completely unnecessary, because I like the idea of survival games. I like the idea of DayZ, if that game's ever going to get finished. I still have the DayZ standalone, which I think is still in early access after several years. But yeah, try playing different games, and you'll probably find that you like different styles of games, and then that'll make it so you also enjoy Call of Duty and Halo and all your other first-person shooters games again, right? So that's my advice. Just try playing different stuff. Maybe take a break from first-person shooters. Try some different genres out, and then it'll kind of cleanse your palate a bit, and then you'll probably be right back in love with Call of Duty again. So that's my advice, and I recommend that to not only you, Roberto from Penn State, but everyone out there. Try out different stuff. If you're only playing one game and you feel as though you're getting burnt out on it, well, yeah, that's human nature. You're only playing one game. And do you eat only chocolate? Do you only eat one kind of food? Eating burgers for dinner every night, you're going to get tired of burgers eventually. Try out some different stuff, and you'll probably enjoy it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to conclude this week's episode of Dear Nero. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and if you did, drop me a rating. It helps the video grow, and it helps my channel grow as well. And if you guys would like to submit your questions for the next episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. It's a very simple process, guys. Go to my YouTube channel, go to the About section, and from there, you will find a send message button. Now, if you're on mobile, you need to actually request to view YouTube in desktop mode. Otherwise, you will not see the send message button. All right, it's very simple. That's how you submit questions. I look forward to reading all of your questions next week. I often get, and this is this little thing here at the end, I often get the question, when's the best time to submit your questions for Dear Nero? Like, what's the best time to submit? Like, what can I do to guarantee that you'll read my question for Dear Nero? Like, what's the best time to submit? Anytime, literally anytime between now when this video is up and when I start making the video next week is the best time to send it in. I read every single question that comes in for Dear Nero. Like, a lot of people think that I get like thousands of questions every single week, and I just have to skip through and I skim through and eventually find, ones that I would want to feature for the show. That's not the case. I on average, I'd say probably 50 questions a week or something like that. Like, it's very simple for me to read every single question that's submitted to me every single week for Dear Nero. I do read them all. If you submit like the same question over and over and it's never been featured, chances are it's just not a very good question. Sometimes it's a lame question. Sometimes a question I've answered a million times before. Just is a number of reasons. But I do read every single question every single week, and I feature the best ones in my mind on that episode of Dear Nero. That's how the system works. And if you guys like to submit your questions for next week's episode, that's how you do it. Submit a personal message here on YouTube. I will read it. And yeah, that's how the series works. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Dear Nero. And if you did, drop me a rating. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.